Hello, everybody. Welcome. It is time for what is it called again? Rockin the Love. Yes, it is. Rockin the Love. I'm Gil, and this is
Robyn.
okay. Somehow both of us were away from the screen at the same time. So good to see you all. Welcome. It's Wednesday once again in the middle of the day.
And
And
we're
what are
just glad to be here.
what are we up to? Anything?
Well, we just saw each other, which
We
was
did.
exciting.
We did.
And now we're back apart.
And where are
And
you?
yeah. And so I am now in Atascadero, California.
Aha.
And where are you, Gil?
Well, I'm in my my kitchen studio here in Albuquerque.
Nice.
Back
Nice.
in Albuquerque. Been here since Monday night, and I will be here until tomorrow noon. So there you go. It's a very short visit, but then we're off again, and
We
we'll
are
see each
off
other again
again.
next week.
It's that kind of summer. But this week, last week, we got the opportunity to be together and celebrate an 8th grade graduation.
Woohoo!
Can y'all take it back and remember 8th grade graduation?
Oh
Or
my
maybe
gosh!
you didn't have one. A lot of people didn't have one. A lot of people had 9th grade graduation or just yeah, or
I had
didn't
a ninth
graduate at
grade.
all.
I had a
What?
ninth. I had a ninth grade graduation.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it
Well,
was fun.
I am in Atascadero with my friends, and we had an 8th grade graduation.
Wait, what?
Which piece?
Wait, when did you guys have an eighth grade graduation?
When we were in 8th grade.
Oh, oh. Wow. Well, it just surprised me. I thought maybe you were all running a little behind or something there if you just had one.
No.
So good to know. Good to know. This was a while ago. All right. That's
Anyone
great.
watching, you can tell right now that this is not a comedy show.
It's not. How can you tell? By the lack of comedy that's happening? Is
This
that
is for real. Well, I'm thrown off that we didn't hear our music. We didn't have our intro, but we
oh,
had it somewhere clearly.
we did, but you probably had the issue I've been having that you don't hear it.
That's
And you
true.
have to be in the room to watch. And I was trying to deal with a not eighth grade boy, but another one. So, you know, I was away from mine too, and then I realized I heard in the background it was almost over. Anyway,
Ah,
that's all
right.
minutia. Um, we are
So
excited to talk
if you're
about
here and
relationship.
we promise it'll get better. So we're gonna take it like we know what we're doing. All right. So here we go. Um, if you're joining us for the first time, welcome. We'd love to hear who you are and have you comment and talk about the show with us today. We have a super special show about friendship and what that means. Like it makes me think of that saying, uh, like, keep make new friends, but keep the old. One is silver and the other's gold, right? Today we're gonna have some golden girls, golden girls in my life that have been around and over together we've logged in over 200 years of friendship. So it's we're very excited to be together and to celebrate and we're going to share a little bit about that and what we think is the key ingredients in our friendship. And then we are going to I don't know, what are we going to do after that? What can you do after that?
Well, nothing. We'll just have to wait until next week and see what happens. Because I
Okay,
think once we talk about friends and friendship, people are going to feel just warm and fuzzy.
it's true.
Yeah.
True. Well, and then yeah, okay. So let's talk about our week because that's what we do. So you came to California.
Yep.
Uh, we had an 8th grade graduation.
Yep.
And we were with family. Family is another key ingredient in relationships.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Speaking of warm and fuzzy,
Yeah. And of course, being with family means you find all the things that need to be done. And, I defrosted a refrigerator and then eventually took it out and got another one and replaced it. And, did things like that. And then on Monday, I got to go bike riding, which was really fun. Only crashed twice. That was good. And I only have a couple sore spots, so that's good to know. And and we had a nice time. It was a lot happening, but it was nice. And it's been nice to be home here.
It is. It's so interesting to me, like when family gets together that hasn't been together for a while, and what comes up. I mean, we had a really nice weekend, relatively calm until the end. And then, it's like, this is just our family I'm talking about, but it's like, then there had to be an incident. There had to be something to keep people on edge and to make, I don't know, to call attention to the other person, or to, not ruin, but interrupt the good time. Or it's really interesting to watch, to witness, and to watch family breaking patterns and creating new patterns and working through things.
It's almost like there's a need to create something negative so that the reason for leaving can feel better.
Right.
It's like, okay, I don't really want to be with them anyway. Now we tried to set the tone for the trip by going to Alcatraz the very first day, suggesting that perhaps, a life of crime was not the best idea, those kinds of things. I don't know how successful we were, but that was a really fun trip, actually. Very interesting, something that I'd never done before. I don't think any of us had. Well, one person with us that had, but she wasn't part of the family technically. She was another friend. So that was fun.
Part of the family.
Well, you know what I mean. But all that time we've been living there, we haven't been.
I do, but I think like Alcatraz, yeah, it was fascinating. And it's fascinating that it's now a national park.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's fascinating because like the energy there is super oppressive. I don't know. It's just it's weird. I mean, and the tour was so good. Like the audio tour was so good that it sounds like you're there in prison. And they make all the sounds. Well, I'm sure not all the sounds, but they make a lot of the sounds that are really like you can hear people's glass or whatever tinging on the bars, and you can hear the guards talking in the background. I mean, it's like 3-dimensional sound, so it's like real. Like several times I had to like stop and make sure really nothing was going on around me, just in the noise thing. Yeah, so Alcatraz is definitely an interesting thing to do if you're going to tourist in Northern California.
And I think it has such a storied history because it's so much longer in terms of history than we think of. That it went through the time of being a military outpost and a military prison, and then being cut off, and then being reignited as kind of a showcase for the war on crime and in the federal prison system, and ultimately became a place that the Native Americans made a stand that this is our land. This is not yours.
Right.
And that went on for 2 years in the 70s.
Yeah.
And all of that, not all of that, but some of that graffiti and stuff, or the stuff that they painted on about it being Indian land is all still there. So it's very fascinating to do.
It is fascinating. It's got many levels of fascinating. So
plus the fact that it is a beautiful spot. I mean, it's got great views.
It does have great views. And it was mating season for the birds.
Oh, yes.
So they were all busy. It was quite scenic.
And if any of you want to know where Robyn was, she was photographing. So she does have bird porn on her phone. So
I do. I do. Well, at first I didn't know that's what they were doing. Like, I mean, like they were, because it doesn't look quite the same in my world. They were standing on, like one was standing on another one's head. And I was like, oh, that's so fascinating. But then it progressed. Anyway, enough about that.
So John has joined us, our good friend John, who we also got to see over the weekend, spend time with his parents and their 62nd wedding anniversary. Congratulations. But he
Right.
mentions that at one point in his life, he got to do a catering job out there, and it was creepy.
Yeah, it is creepy. And I want to welcome Wayne. Wayne, hello, welcome. Yeah. So anyway, okay. Enough about Alcatraz. Yeah, the weekend was great. We got to see a lot of people, and just super fun, super fun, super fun to watch. John's dad is 88 ish, and like he was playing games with the kids, 14 and 15, and their mom on the yard and the lawn. They were playing croquet, and it was good to see everybody interacting and active like that. So anyway, yeah, so that's our week. It's been a great week. So I think it's time for the good news, our segment where we tell you the good news, because we know that you can find the bad news anywhere you look. So we're going to take a look at a couple of things that have come across to us that are good news. So,
well, I thought that I would take you all, for a little nostalgia's sake, to the city of Beverly Hills for the good news this week, where
tell them why that's pertinent.
Well, that's pertinent because the origins of our friendships is from Beverly Hills, from elementary and on. So that's that the people we'll be talking to have grown from that origin spot. So anyway, very interesting that a couple of off-duty security guards landed in a gas station where a woman was screaming for help with her little baby who was choking to death, basically. And one of them, who was not a doctor per se, but had experience in the Marines, jumped in, and she kind of threw the baby at him because she didn't know what to do. And if anybody could help, please do. And they were able, partly because they were security guards, they had a direct line to 911. It's a little different, and they were able to get someone there really fast, and they performed CPR and did all the stuff that needed to happen, and the baby's fine. But somebody walking into a situation and being willing to jump in and and help and just do what needs to be done, whether or not they knew exactly what to do. They didn't, who would know exactly what to do in a situation like that? I mean, you don't know exactly what's happened. You don't know what's going on. And yet you're willing to take the risk because you know that something needs to be done. And one of the great comments the guy made was that he went to his training, which is to slow time down so that you can really assess and get as much information as possible to be able to do the right stuff in that situation. So interesting.
Wow.
But I thought that was, kind of good news.
Yeah.
You really are willing to jump in.
No, I think what's fascinating about that is that I think it's fascinating when people just jump in and listen. Clearly there are mechanisms that have not been turned off, so just ignore that. But when people really jump in and listen to their instinct and just act on instinct because they know it's the right thing to do, and I think that's always fascinating, and that's always, that's, to me, that's just such a heart connection,
Mm-hmm.
So mine is about 8th grade in honor of our graduate at home, Robert. And mine is about an 8th grade middle schooler who lived in Missouri. And they missed their ride in the morning, the opportunity, like their cousins and their friends that were going to be driving to the school. And so he remembered what his mentor at school had told him, that if you want something, you have to go and get it. And so he walked 2.5 hours to his school graduation, over 10,000 steps or something like that. And he got to school. His mentor was actually up doing the speech, and his mentor stopped and acknowledged him, and everybody, applauded him. And he told the story of how he was determined to get there. He came in, he got there, and afterwards, this woman went up to him. I don't have her name, and she was from the college, and she said, well, we want to give you a full ride. And he was like, oh, thank you. What does that mean? And she said, I get teary. We want to give you a full ride. And they gave him a full 4-year college scholarship to go to college. And then when it hit the news in Missouri, a football player, one of the football players there, heard about it, who had grown up in the same neighborhood. And they bought his family a van, and they bought him like a moped. And he said, I never want you to not be able to get where you want to go.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I just think it's such a sign for people of all ages, obviously, but even just people in 8th grade, 9th grade, whatever, to live into that possibility that it's all out there and that anything is possible.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So, and he had to take the first step. Like, he didn't go 2.5 hours. I'm never going to get to school. I'm never going to make it. Let's be real. I know our kids would have missed the graduation. Right? And we would have gotten home. They would have been like, I'm hungry. But you know what I mean? Like, it was, but just having that stick-to-itiveness and that like something that was important to him, So.
Well, I think, when I heard you say anything's possible, I think the other piece is everything's possible. And I think that's the part we sometimes forget. It's all possible.
It's all possible.
And it often requires putting one foot in front of the other and moving toward whatever it is and trusting that you'll get there somehow. So.
And you never know where somewhere is.
Yes.
And I could have never told you that I would be sitting with our guests in 100 years, chit-chatting and just talking about our friends and our kids and our grandkids and all of the things that are in our lives. So you don't want to miss it. We will be right back here on New Thought Media Network. So stay tuned.
Come on, everybody, sing with me. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes. If you believe in you and me, sing yes, yes, yes. Do you believe like I believe we can make a better world? Listening to each other till every voice is heard. Singing yes, 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 yes. What is the place if we find a way to end all poverty? So all could live with dignity from sea to shining sea. Oh, please say yes. Come on, everybody, sing with me. Yes, yes, yes.
I let love in. I feel the beat that's calling, calling, calling us to rise, rise, spirit rise up, rise in me. I ready my soul, I clear my mind. I'm here and now, in present time. I feel the power of 1,000 suns lighting up the dark. Oh, we rise as one. Oh, rise, rise, spirit rise up, rise in me. Oh, rise, spirit rise up.
Good afternoon, good morning, good night, wherever you are. This is Rockin the Love. That's
Not
Robyn.
good night. Don't go to bed yet. Stay up for a few more minutes and join us right here on Rockin the Love. We want to welcome Sherry Lynn. Welcome, Reverend Sherry Lynn. And thank you for those comments and for joining us. Today we're talking about friendship, friendship, friendship. And so we are going to bring out our friends. So I want to welcome Leah Wells and Mallory Asman and Hawkeye. Hawkeye is our secret guest. We may have a contest to see if you can identify the voice, but she is just a voice right now, joining us actually from the other room of where I am with Leah and Mallory. So welcome, Leah and Mallory.
Oh,
Hello. Hi.
There you go.
There we go.
There you go.
Yeah.
Technology is not their forte, but we love them anyway. So, hi, you guys. So this is a weekend that we try to do every year, every other year, whenever we can, and we get together. And we've known each other since elementary school. So it's been a long time, and it's true, isn't it true, guys? That like, oh, sorry, gals, girls, ladies, that I want to be politically correct, but you know, I just don't do that thing. You've always been guys in my world. So isn't it true that can you ever have imagined really that we would have been sitting around talking about grandkids?
No. Can't
Like
imagine
back
us
when-
talking about grandkids.
Right? I mean, well, we were talking about knee socks. You know, pulling up knee socks, and like if our dresses could be shortened another inch when miniskirts were in, you know.
That's right.
Those were our big dilemmas.
I think it wasn't just the furthest thing from our mind. It didn't hit the radar at all.
No.
Right? I know. We were still on like first kisses.
Now
Right?
it's just-
But,
Now we're like, oh, Mallory has the first grandchild. So scary. Anyway, so and the first kids and the first marriage.
First everything.
Winner, Mallory, winner.
I think we're all winners.
Yes. So I was thinking, when I was thinking about this, I was thinking like, what is, a lot of people go friendship, acquaintance. How do we determine the differences between like a friendship and an acquaintance? How would you say?
I mean, to me, a friendship goes so much deeper. So an acquaintance is somebody tertiary, somebody that you're friendly to, but a friendship is really knowing somebody, really knowing their thoughts and helping to anticipating conversations and being part of one's life, being present for the other one.
I agree. An acquaintance, I mean, I work with a lot of people. I think we probably all do, and we know them. But and you might say you're friends, but I mean, friendship goes on many different levels, right?
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I think that's absolutely accurate. And you know, there are those people at work like that you would say are friends, but it's like one step away from acquaintance. But it's somehow I was reading an article actually, and somehow acquaintance has gotten not a bad meaning, but it's gotten a different meaning than it had when it was made or whatever. Like it's almost like you're saying they're not your friend. And you have friends at work, but they're not like friends you hang out with, right?
I think the term also has changed recently with social media because I have thousands of friends on Facebook, but are
Right.
these people that are actually a part of my life? They might be viewing my life from what I want to put out there to them, but they're
Right.
not the people that really know me well.
Yes, that's such a great point. And speaking of social media, I think it's also changed because of our things like BFFs and all acronym and all the things we use. It's like all of a sudden we have besties and we have there's like more levels and
Mhm.
determinations, for lack of a
Well,
better.
easy titles, but is there meaning to back it up?
Right. Oh, so speaking of backing it up, how did this friendship get to be last? John said, did you all have, where did it go? Did you all have markers, the smelly markers?
Yeah, we had smelly markers.
Well,
Yeah.
fruit smells.
Oh no, I had fruit smells.
Oh, okay.
I kind
But I
of,
don't remember that in our friendship.
so maybe nobody did markers with me. I took my purple marker that smelled like lavender and I circled my dog's freckles thinking it would go away. Mr. Phipps had purple freckles forever.
That's so funny. That's a great.
Because that was before the time when they made erasable markers.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
Well, I wanted to interject something that I've observed, and you folks have this connection which just spans the years and spans time, and has had multiple different interruptions and reignitions. But it's interesting, this idea of friends that goes beyond. It's somebody that's still there after whatever the situation, whatever the context is, where the friendship was formed, is broken. So, elementary school is gone, high school is gone, and yet this is a friendship that continues. And how often do we have those friends at work or whatever, and when we leave or they leave, we never talk to them again.
Right.
Right. And so what a beautiful thing to have that continue.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. I mean, a lot of people don't have what we have. Like, right? I mean, I know for sure lots
Oh,
of
no,
people
definitely.
that don't.
And it's
So-
hard to come by. I mean, people that you meet and pick up along the way, whether you're meeting people through your children's school and you think, oh, this is going to be a lasting friendship, and then they move or a life situation changes and it wasn't the lasting friendship that you had or that you thought might be like that forever friendship, and yet here we are, and we might disappear,
Yeah.
life gets in the way, and then we're back again. We're like boomerangs.
But we know that we can pick that up, right? I mean, it doesn't matter if we don't talk for a couple months or several months. But we've got it.
I think the crazy thing is too, it's like you can pick right back up where you were. Like all of a sudden we could be giggling like we did in 7th grade. And it brings us right back to, just reminiscing about things that we used to laugh about.
I think what people are missing in this discussion is Hawkeye's ability to bring everybody into some crazy story and make them laugh hysterically.
Hawkeye's very good at that. It just comes out from all the years of all the stories and all of the experiences that we've had together.
Yeah.
I think
This
there's
is why-
something about the bonds that you have when you're a child and younger and innocent before you're who you are in life or what you become or who you marry or how you make your living or any of that is just stronger than the bonds you make with people once you're traveling through your life. I think that's what keeps us connected in a stronger way than someone you meet when you're working at a particular job or when your kids are going to school. Or there's just something I think about those bonds when your innocence is still intact.
Well, that's a good point. I mean, we had no definitions about ourselves then.
Right.
We weren't, the wife, the mother, the nurse, the travel professional,
Right.
we
Secret
had no
agent.
definitions. We were just kids.
kids.
And,
We were
with
just
everything to
Leah,
offer.
Mallory, Robyn, and Hawkeye.
We were just trying to get through 7th grade, 8th grade, 9th grade. I mean, there wasn't like you're all saying. I mean, so in some ways, it's like we grew up together, but it's like, I mean, in a sense, we live together, because we don't do that with our friends now. Like you said, if they're at work, we leave them at work, and our lives were much more intertwined just because that's when we had time to be together because we were kids, and that was our job, was to play together, to study together, to do things together.
But also we were figuring out life together. We were
Exactly.
figuring out the things that we couldn't go to or we didn't go to our parents
about. Right.
about. We were those that we bounced off ideas that we might have had, to either get confirmation or verification or, is this a right way to feel? Think of it. It's the adolescent years that, we really cemented all this.
Absolutely.
Right. And it's really, I mean, friendship really creates a foundation where we develop our social skills, together, just is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, and you share those secret things you'd never talk to your parents about.
To this day.
That's right.
To this day.
Or share publicly to this day.
I don't know. People used to come over and share those things with my mom. And I'd be like, hello, I'm the friend.
Well, you always have a friend, I think, when you're growing up who has the cool mom or the cool house to go to.
Yeah.
Or the house with the chips and dip.
That was you. Or the
Not only chips and dip, Valerie, but your parents weren't home in the afternoon.
True.
So it's like we had a house and chips and dip, and we could do whatever we wanted.
Ice cream.
Yeah. So the story behind that is that Mallory I was so amazed when I went to Mallory's house one day after school because she was like, oh, you want to have chips and dip? And I was like, what? Because it was like chips and dip are for parties. That's when you have chips and dip. And Mallory's like, no, it's snack. Come on. And she whipped up some onion dip and some chips, and there we sat with chips and dip having a party. It was our own private
It was
party.
always a party.
But so since then, I always think of Mallory because when I want dip, because I'm like, I don't need a reason. Chips and dip.
Need a party?
So,
And
And
we
I
go
mean,
together like chips and dip, right?
but we laugh at that. But honestly, that's a life lesson. That is a life lesson that for me anyway, not to be bound by those rules and that thing. So I mean, really, usually the times when I'm thinking I want chips and dip, I that's when I want to break a rule, or I think, oh, I can't because somebody's gonna think that it's not the time, and and I go, no, it's the time because I say it's the time. So thanks, Mel.
Because it could always be a party. You're welcome.
Exactly.
And
I
I
think-
live my life with that
Philosophy.
in mind, with that philosophy.
Yeah.
It should be a party when you can. It's not
Absolutely.
always appropriate, but when you can, it should be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but I think that's so great because we all have learned those kind of lessons from each other, in little ways and in big ways. And like we were saying when we were talking in the beginning, before we came on air, we've all been there through different times of each other's lives, some more than others, some, in the good times, the sad times, all of those things. And it's so important, I think, that we each bring in those aspects of who we are.
I think maybe that makes a difference too. Not maybe, it does make a difference in a deeper friendship, a long-term friendship. How many people really have that window into each other's lives from childhood and all the things that make you who you are and provide that foundation. We knew what created each other's foundations, the strengths and the weaknesses.
Yeah.
Well,
And so, what did you say?
I was
Gil?
just going to say that something I find interesting in observing all of you is you have had very divergent lives. You came from this one spot, but everybody's gone very different ways. And, some married, had kids, blah, blah. Some were in relationships and then finally married, and some didn't have kids. And, people are in places where they just, their economics, all their stuff is different. And yet there's no judgment. There's no apparent issue, if you will, with any of those differences.
It's an acceptance.
Yeah. And it's sort of like you're able to celebrate one another regardless of where the individual is coming from. It's so great that this is in your life, and we love your kids, and we love your this, and we love, that kind of a thing. That's what strikes me.
Well, I think that also comes from childhood because it didn't matter. Like we were just friends. It didn't matter who did what or who had what economic status or who had kids we just were there from a very basic core level. And so as life goes on, none of that mattered because we had that from the very beginning.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It is a good point. And I think that, it's so interesting when you look at like friendships and things now, and like with people that from different places. I mean, I'm thinking about, right now after the pandemic and all that, how many people I know solely on Zoom, and because I talk to them all the time, and because we talk about important things, it's really, it feels like a friendship. I mean, we talk about very deep things, and like I actually have somebody come into town next week, who I've known for years and years and years, and she was my client, and we did Zoom sessions, and then we've gone on to do some creative stuff together, and she's going to actually be doing another show with me on the network. And it's amazing that we don't know each other because we're friends, you know? So it's really interesting to bring, I mean, it based on all that we've shared and all that we've, you know what I mean? It's like it has that feeling, it has that vibe to it. She's not an acquaintance. I know way too much about her. You know, she's a friend, and you know, somebody I love and care about, and vice versa. But it's so weird to me how many people there are like that now that I don't even know. Like I was saying, I don't even, you know, if they had their hair pulled back and walked by me on the street, I'm not even sure I'd go, hey, there goes so and so, you know, because of the whole Zoom thing. So I'm just wondering, like, do you think it's harder now to have make new friends, or easier now, or what do you guys think?
Well, I don't know that the pandemic, I don't know if that's what you were really referring to, or just being able, because you couldn't see her in person. I don't think it's really changed for me. You know, it's been not too hard to make friends, but I don't know. Has it changed for you?
Well, I understand what you're saying, Rob, about Zoom and everything, because I connect with a lot of people through Zoom, through
Yeah.
social media, through my work.
Right.
And many people, we have a lot of shared interests, shared experiences. And so there are people that I think you naturally gravitate to. And some people show up for you in different aspects of your life. And sometimes it's just a little shift, a little bend that can turn an acquaintance into a friendship by somebody taking interest, taking notice of maybe something you're going through, mentioning something. And it's just that little bend that can change two people's connection with each other. But it's not necessarily easy when you're on Zoom and you're just getting that little snippet of them. You know, if it's a one-on-one Zoom, yeah, I think the pandemic has taught us that you can develop a closeness with people who are far away just by seeing them, just by, being present for them. But yeah, so I think there's certain people that you can connect with because of an interest you have taken in them or they have taken in you. And really, I think a lot of it comes down to caring. When somebody understands that you're not your normal self, or you're going through something a little bit more challenging, and takes notice and bonds with you over that, wants to share that moment in time with you, then that could be the start of a nice connection.
Yeah.
What I heard when you were talking, Robyn, was this sort of idea that somehow friendship requires meeting in person, and I think that's what's shifted so radically, is we know that we can be very connected to people without ever meeting them. However, it is also true that we can walk by them on the street because they look different outside the box. But we've only had this 2D experience of them.
So I know I saw that Wayne asked earlier, said he wanted to make more spiritually minded friends. And so if someone wanted to get more deeper connections and connect with people, finding that, true friendship kind of thing, what would you say are the qualities that they would need to present and be looking for? And I mean, I know you don't look for it, but you know what I mean. Like you mentioned before, somebody mentioned, just the honesty and the the depth of sharing that we've all done. And growing up together, I mean, we had many opportunities to do that. But I mean, I think even when we meet people now, whether they're an acquaintance or a work person, we're drawn to what we like about them, or what resonates for us. And I would say, like, for me, especially, like, truth and honesty, and someone that I feel is, being authentic, is key. Would any of you guys say, like, what would you say is key elements in making new friends?
I think building on your truth and honesty, oftentimes it's a shared passion. Like I mentioned before, oftentimes it's a sense of caring when somebody can read you enough to know that you're going through something that's not normal for you. So they're seeing that, you might be going through a period of pain or emotion that's just not you, but being willing to take that extra step to ask about it or ask how you're feeling, rather than just conversations on the periphery.
And that's how, I mean, turning it around, it's like if you want to become friends with someone and you see something, you can turn that around and say, hey, I see you're going through something. Do you want to talk about it, or do you, need to vent? I'm here. And it's the same kind of thing, but turning it around where you would approach someone with that concern.
Yeah, that's great, Leah. Thanks. Yeah. Hawkeye, you have anything to say?
Well, it's basically along the same lines. You'd want to see qualities that someone was kind and caring and, compassionate, empathetic. We see so much nowadays where people are so entitled and self-centered, and those are big negatives that you kind of want to walk away from. It's just do unto others, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
The golden rule.
Just be kind and be who you are.
Right.
Not try to be somebody that you're not.
I think that's key.
And eat lots of chip and dip.
Thank you, John. We agree with that.
Chip and dip
Yeah.
parties really help.
I was going to say my experience of being with this group from time to time is, yes, they're very good at snacks.
We are.
Snacks and, the bags packed to go to the winery. It's like, I thought we were going for wine. No, we're going for wine and snacks. A lot of snacks.
Cheese and crackers, chips and dip.
We did that yesterday.
We did that
Exactly.
yesterday, and we had
Yeah.
the ice cream in the evening, so we had
That's
a
right.
perfect day.
All
Except
right.
you weren't here, Gil.
I missed it.
You
Man.
missed it.
Don't feel bad, Gil. I wasn't there either. That's why they were late to pick me up. They were having too good of a time with the wine and the cheese and crackers.
You did get the ice cream, though.
I did get the ice cream. Yeah, all is forgiven. Yeah, so I just think, I just think that I'm just so grateful, first of all, for all of you in my life. And, it doesn't matter, if it's been, a season, a reason, or a lifetime. All of it has been, a lesson and just such an opportunity to feel safe and to have friends like you. It's amazing. And I have a quote here that says, "A true friend sees the first tear." Can you read it? I can't read it now. It went away.
Catches the second and stops the third.
Yeah.
True friend sees the first tear, catches the second, and stops the third.
Yeah. And so, so I just want to thank you guys. And that's it. That's what I
Well,
got.
I think we're very grateful for each other, and we have something very special, and I think we realize it.
Very
Yeah, and I think it's I think that's a lot of it too. I mean, the gratitude is really just for being able to be, and not not letting it, not letting anything that, well, you haven't been around for this long, or you didn't call me, or you didn't do this, or you didn't do that. We're just grateful when we're together, and when we hear each other, and when we get together, and it's good. It's good.
I just wanted to chime in that I think something that you should all be grateful for too is your ability to create more friends, because you've literally brought in partners that then became friends and also became friends with you. And I sense
Well, that you guys are just really lucky to be in our presence.
exactly that's what I was trying to say, Hawkeye. Thank you.
And that we allowed you into the group.
Yeah, it did take a while to break in.
Well,
It's a
and
wonderful expansion.
That's right.
we will be doing a show with the partners where we will talk about over 100 years of marriage, I believe we counted last night, and what it takes to keep a marriage together, and our relationships, and just, all of those things. So the relationship show will be coming up. Do not expect to see Hawkeye, and it's possible that you won't see the little Hawklet either. Who knows? I don't know. But they will be there some way, somehow. So I just want to thank you guys. I just want to thank you truly for being here, and really being in my life. And all that, are those the partners coming in the room?
Yeah.
Make it.
Yeah.
Yes, and to make matters worse for Hawkeye, the dog is sitting right in front of us.
All right. All right. So anyway,
Really, thank you so much for being on the
But
show
I'm not
too
going
and
to get
playing.
mad because we're all just friends here.
Hawkeye's not a dog
For
fan,
allowing us to share
and we
this.
all know it. She lets her feelings be known.
We're
Okay.
going to go have chips and dip now.
Okay. All right. Okay. So thank you for being here. We are going to be here next week after a trip to Kansas.
Yay!
We'll be home from Kansas. We will have clicked our heels 3 times, and we will be back. Anything else we need to say? Because my producer says we've got to be done in 5 minutes. Don't laugh. You're taking up time.
Okay, sorry. Nope, I think we're good. I think it's great. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We had a good time, and thanks for playing along. And thank you, Robyn, for just, being
Your friend.
being my spouse
And your friend.
and my friend.
Believe me, your friend gives you a lot more slack than your spouse. So you better keep me in that category too. All right. So thank you, John. Thank you, Sherry. Thank you, anyone who's joined us that didn't speak up but is out there. You must be in the Hawkeye program. I think we'll just adapt that as for those we can't see. We know the Hawkeyes are out there. That's what we'll call them now. Those that don't talk. And I think that's it, right?
Yep.
We got lots of good shows coming up. We have a lot of people coming in the next month, and we'll let you know about that next week. And so just hang in there and be a friend, and you'll get a friend. And keep on rocking the love, y'all.
Keep on rocking it.